Picture this. A single paycheck once supported a family of four or even six, paid for a house, a car, yearly family vacations, and still guaranteed a successful and secure retirement. That was the American dream. Today, however, that dream is fading, if not dying. The relentless devaluation of the dollar has made it nearly impossible for most families to enjoy the life their parents took for granted. Fewer and fewer Americans can afford even the basics, let alone security and the freedom that once defined this nation. So, what happened? And is there any hope left? Stick around because we're about to uncover the truth. Before I get started, I have to tell you that I'm not a financial advisor, even though I do a lot of research for this video. It's not intended for financial advice. Always do your own due diligent research. And if you don't know how to do good research, research on how to do good research. Also, I sure would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, share, and comment your experiences below.
That is quite the increase. It's increasing at an exponential rate. Now, the value of the dollar since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, when we'll call a dollar a dollar. In 1920, it had lost 49% of its value. So that that there should have, tell you it was no good. Sure, it went up a little bit, and it does fluctuate, but the general trend is downward. Okay, so here we are in 2016. The value of the dollar is 3 cents. Okay, now it's not exactly 3 cents. You did get raises, but the raises, as we'll see, did not keep up with uh, the cost of housing. So there's some things I want to point out here. In 1976, I used that because that's 50 years. Minimum wage was $2.30. So the price of gold was $125. Now in just 4 years, went up to $612. Tremendous opportunity to buy here, and there's probably a better opportunity before 1976, but you get the picture. Now the real problem is that if you bought at the top, you were underwater for over 2 decades before you broke even. By 2001, gold has fallen to $271. Gold is a great hedge against inflation, but it does matter when you buy. And you could probably get away with dollar cost averaging in, but again, anything you bought at $612, you saw $271 over 20 years later. And the problem is, if you're 60 years old, here you are at 80, at a negative unrealized loss. Okay. And another danger is after 20 years, once it breaks even at $612, if you sold, you missed out on $5,500 again. It pays to educate yourself on technical analysis. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hype around there. My chart's a little messed up on the end here, but somewhere down the line it got corrupted. So these here represented the years. I shortened my chart to fit it on the screen, but you can see that the curve that has taken place. Um, Exponential growth. Now, the interest on this debt is getting increasingly harder to pay. And they say that the interest on debt is more than our national defense. So, what happens when the interest on the debt cannot be paid? Well, they sell securities, they sell bonds, they sell stocks. Basically, they peddle the future of for us, our kids, and our grandkids uh, to pay for the present. So another way that they get money is through taxes and inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax. So that is So that's we've seen in the other chart that the value of the dollar went down. So you're getting more taxes. You get a raise. Um, you can see that we'll go back up and look. You can see that that raise really is kind of an illusion. You're better off older wages and older prices. So, back up here, you can see that 1976 at minimum wage took you 9.23 years to buy a house. That almost doubled in 1995, and then by 2022, it was 29 years. That's not counting interest, and this is pretty much a cash deal. So this is in the realm of impossibility if you try to save cash. Now, median worked income is not as bad, as you can see. 3.48 to 588, that's still not that good. The last chart I want to show you has to do with minimum wage, medium income price gold, and medium house price, as indicated here. Sure, everything went up, but the gap between minimum wage and the housing is widening. The gap between minimum wage and medium income has widened, and the gap between medium income and houses has widened. Basically, it's harder and harder to own your own home. And guess what? When the price of a house goes up, so does the price of rent.
I really wish I could sit here and tell you there was an easy solution. But even back then, the easiest solution was hard if you didn't have the right mindset. Mindset would be the key for everything. However, there's less money to save, and you have to be more diligent and smart about how you save your money. But the opportunities, gold, if bought at the right price, can be a tremendous way to hedge against the loss of income. Bitcoin, as volatile as it is, if bought and sold at the right price, you can make quite a bit of money. And there's a lot of controversy. Why would you want to put your Bitcoin in dollars? Well, one reason is maybe it drops like 80% after the bull runs. Okay, so it doesn't take a mathematical genius that, if you can sell it for a dollar, it drops 20 cents. You can buy five of them. When it goes back to a dollar, you have 500% more. But it is what it is. So, um, when you buy an asset, there are two things you need to know: when to buy and when to sell. And you want to keep it simple, and that's as simple as it gets. However, learning to spot those opportunities is a is going to require some research. But you need to buy some assets. We've got a K-shape recovery. Assets are going up in one part of the K, but the people that hold cash, their value and purchasing power is going down, and you're just not gaining much ground when you save cash. Um, if you can buy a house, you can get boarders that will help or roommates. You kind of want to be careful. You don't want to be roommate mate dependent on a house that you owe money to every once in a while, where if the roommate moves out, you're going to be up the creek without a paddle. So my recommendation is, if you go that route, create a bigger emergency fund, uh, a separate fund just for the house. So if the roommate moves out, you've got it covered. The emergency fund may be bigger than typical 3 to 6 months. You need a hot water heater, buy it. You don't have to um, pay interest on it. And another um, growing in popularity is leaving the United States. Now, I've researched this extensively, and the main problem is collecting a United States paycheck in other countries like the Philippines, Thailand, uh, Vietnam, Panama, Ecuador, Paraguay. All these countries, they all have a requirement for a visa. You have to make so much or have so much to bring with you. Some are easier than others. And all those mentioned are a lot cheaper, but so aren't the wages. So if you can, but if you're retired and you're on a fixed income, that there will stretch it. And for example, if you're retired, barely making it in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and then everything goes up in value, either you're really hurting to get money for food because you're already on a tight budget, or you're working somewhere to make up the difference. And that is not what you signed up for. So there's only a handful of solutions. There are some opportunities, and you work hard for your money. Why not work hard and study hard to learn one, how money works, and two, how to grow your money? Okay, in conclusion, you know, it doesn't look good. You see these things happening, the cost of living going up, the devaluation of the dollar, the possible solutions, which even those are getting harder and harder. One of the reasons is you have less money to save, which means you have less money to invest. So the earlier you start, the better. Please comment below any of the situations that you may have been in that you pulled yourself out of, some of the investments you may have made, and your knowledge in the matter. And also subscribe to my channel and share. Have a good evening.